The fluorescent lights of the conference room buzzed with the same frequency as my mounting headache. I sat at the far end of the mahogany table, my weathered leather portfolio resting before me like a shield, while Marcus Caldwell III, 28 years old, Harvard MBA, and the CEO's golden child, stood at the presentation screen with the confidence of someone who'd never known failure. "And this," Marcus said, his fingers stabbing at a projection showing our quarterly targets, "is exactly the kind of outdated thinking that's holding Meridian Tech back." He wasn't looking at the screen. He was looking directly at me. I'd seen this coming for weeks, ever since Marcus returned from his executive training in Silicon Valley. He'd been circling the veterans like a shark who'd tasted blood. 3 senior managers had already taken early retirement packages. I was next on his list, and we both knew it. "Thomas," he continued, my name rolling off his tongue with barely concealed disdain, "you've been with this company for how long? 25 years?" 26 this October, I replied evenly. Around the table, my colleagues shifted uncomfortably. Janet from HR studied her laptop screen. Derek from operations suddenly found his coffee fascinating. "Right, 26 years. Marcus smiled, but it never reached his eyes, those cold blue chips he'd inherited from his father, CEO Richard Caldwell. "And in all that time, you've been managing our manufacturing partnerships the same way, the same vendors, the same processes, the same tired, old-school mentality that's costing us millions in efficiency." My jaw tightened. The Riverside manufacturing partnership I'd cultivated over 2 decades had just delivered our highest quality components at the most competitive rate in company history. But facts didn't matter in this room anymore. Not since Marcus had been appointed Chief Operating Officer 6 months ago, leapfrogging over a dozen more qualified candidates. "I've brought innovation to our supply chain," I said carefully. Last quarter was adequate," Marcus interrupted, turning to address the room. "But adequate isn't good enough. We need disruption. We need partnerships with cutting-edge firms that understand the future, not manufacturers stuck in the past." He clicked to his next slide. "Which is why I'm pleased to announce our new exclusive partnership with Quantum Solutions International." The name meant nothing to me, but I watched Marcus's presentation with growing unease. Quantum Solutions promised 20% cost reductions, faster turnaround times, and revolutionary manufacturing processes. The numbers looked impressive. Too impressive. "Where are they based?" I asked. "Does it matter?" Marcus shot back. "This isn't 1999, Thomas. We live in a global economy." "It matters for quality control, shipping logistics, and your job isn't to question strategic decisions anymore," Marcus said, his voice dropping to a tone that silenced the room. "Your job is to facilitate the transition, unless you'd prefer to join the other dinosaurs in early retirement." The threat hung in the air like smoke. I glanced at Janet, who wouldn't meet my eyes. Richard Caldwell had been my friend once, back when he was still getting his hands dirty on the production floor. But power and a second marriage to a woman 20 years his junior had changed him. Now he let his son run roughshod over the company we'd built together. "I'll need to review the Quantum Solutions contracts," I said. "Standard due diligence." Marcus's smile was razor sharp. "Already approved by the board, we're moving forward next week." He paused deliberately. "In fact, Thomas, since you seem so concerned about the old ways, maybe you should focus on winding down the Riverside contract. We'll need that budget freed up." After the meeting, I sat alone in my office on the 4th floor, the afternoon sun casting long shadows across my desk. The walls were lined with photographs. Meridian Tech's first product launch in 2000, the team celebrating our IPO in 2007, award ceremonies, company picnics, moments frozen in time when this place felt like family. My phone buzzed. A text from my daughter, Sarah. "How was work, Dad?" I smiled despite myself. Sarah was finishing her MBA at Northwestern, top of her class. "Surviving." "How's the thesis coming?" "Almost done. Corporate governance and accountability." The irony wasn't lost on me. I opened my desk drawer and pulled out a folder I'd started weeks ago, Quantum Solutions. Inside were the few documents I'd managed to obtain before Marcus locked down access.
What I'd found troubled me. An offshore shell company structure, vague manufacturing specifications, and payment terms that front-loaded $4 million to Quantum before a single component was delivered. My office door opened without a knock. Marcus stood in the doorway, his tie loosened, his expression somewhere between amusement and contempt. "Still here, Thomas? I figured you'd be updating your resume by now." "Just reviewing some contracts," I said, closing the folder casually. He stepped inside uninvited. "You know what your problem is? You think loyalty matters. You think showing up for 26 years earns you immunity." He moved closer. "But this is business. And in business, you're only as valuable as your last quarter." "I think due diligence matters," I replied carefully, "and not rushing into contracts that could expose the company to risk." "Risk?" Marcus laughed. "The only risk here is dinosaurs like you blocking progress. Quantum Solutions is going to save this company millions. And when it does, my father will finally see who really understands the future." He turned to leave, then paused. "Oh, and Thomas, clear out by Friday. We're converting your office into a collaboration space. You'll be moving to the 3rd floor. Smaller office, no window, but hey, at least you'll still have a job." The demotion was petty, vindictive, and entirely predictable. After he left, I sat in the gathering darkness, 26 years of my life suddenly feeling very fragile. That night, I couldn't sleep. My apartment, the same one I'd moved into after my divorce 8 years ago, felt emptier than usual. Margaret had taken the house, the furniture, most of our shared memories. I'd thrown myself into work, telling myself it was temporary, that I'd rebuild eventually, but eventually never came. Work had been my refuge, my identity, my purpose. And now, Marcus Caldwell was taking that away too. At 3 a.m., I sat at my kitchen table with the Quantum Solutions documents spread before me. Something was fundamentally wrong with this deal. The company address led to a registered agent service in the Cayman Islands. The manufacturing certifications couldn't be verified. The timeline for delivery was impossibly aggressive. And the payment structure, $4 million up front, $4 million at 30 days, $4 million at delivery, heavily favored the vendor in ways no legitimate manufacturer would demand. I'd built my career on relationships and trust. I knew every major supplier in our industry. I'd toured their facilities, met their teams, understood their capabilities. Quantum Solutions had materialized from nowhere with promises too good to be true, which meant they probably were. Friday morning, facility staff arrived at my office with boxes. The demotion wasn't just symbolic. Marcus wanted everyone to see my fall from grace. Colleagues walked past without making eye contact. A few offered sympathetic smiles, but no support. Fear was contagious in corporate America. My new office on the 3rd floor was exactly as advertised, smaller, darker, tucked away in a corner near the supply closet. The message was clear: disappear quietly or be disappeared forcibly. But I'd never been good at staying quiet.
Angela Reeves found me unpacking that afternoon. She was 26, sharp as a knife, and one of the junior analysts in supply chain management. "Mr. Rivera, I heard about the move. I'm sorry." "It's just an office," I said, though we both knew it was more than that. "Can I ask you something?" She glanced down the hallway, then closed the door. "This Quantum Solutions deal, the numbers don't make sense. I've been trying to verify their manufacturing capacity, and I can't find any evidence they actually have facilities." My heart rate spiked. "What did you find?" "Nothing. That's the problem. No factory registrations, no employee records, no shipping history. It's like they don't exist." She pulled out her tablet. "And their certifications, ISO standards, quality protocols, none of the issuing bodies have any record of them." I stared at the screen, seeing confirmation of my worst fears. "Have you told anyone?" "I tried. I brought it to Marcus's attention, and he told me to mind my own business.
Said I didn't understand disruptive business models. She looked frightened. Mr. Rivera, I think something illegal is happening. I thought about my career, my reputation, the target already painted on my back. Then I thought about Angela, young, honest, brave enough to ask dangerous questions. I thought about the hundreds of Meridian employees whose jobs depended on this company staying solvent, and I thought about Marcus Caldwell, smirking as he dismantled everything his father had built. Don't bring this up again at work. Not to Marcus, not to anyone. Can you send me everything you found? Personal email, not company. She nodded, understanding the implications. That weekend, I did something I'd never done in 26 years. I contacted a competitor. Tom Harrison ran procurement for Tech Vision Industries, Meridian's biggest rival. We'd faced each other across negotiating tables for years, developing a grudging, mutual respect. Thomas Rivera, Tom said when he answered my call. To what do I owe the pleasure? I need information, off the record. Have you heard of a company called Quantum Solutions International? A long pause. Why are you asking? Because my company just signed a $12 million contract with them and I can't verify they're legitimate. Another pause, longer this time. We almost did business with them 6 months ago. Same pitch. Revolutionary manufacturing, incredible cost savings, but when our audit team dug deeper, the whole thing fell apart. Shell company. Fake certifications. We walked away. My stomach dropped. Did you report them? To who? They hadn't actually defrauded us. They just failed due diligence. Tom's voice sharpened. Thomas, if Meridian signed with them, you need to get out of that deal immediately. The contract's already been approved. $4 million already transferred. Jesus. Who authorized that? The COO, Marcus Caldwell. The CEO's son? Whew, that's going to be a hell of a mess. Listen, I'll send you our due diligence report. Use it however you need to. I don't want to see Meridian go down like this, even if you are the competition. Monday morning, armed with Tom's report and Angela's findings, I requested a meeting with Richard Caldwell. His assistant, a woman who'd known me for 15 years, looked uncomfortable. Richard's schedule is very full this week. Perhaps Marcus could help? This needs to be Richard. It's urgent. I'll pass along the message. The message was never passed along. Instead, Tuesday afternoon, I was summoned to HR. Janet sat behind her desk, with 2 people I didn't recognize, a man and woman in dark suits, badges clipped to their belts. Thomas Rivera, the woman said. I'm Special Investigator Chen with the Securities and Exchange Commission. We need to ask you some questions about Quantum Solutions International. The SEC investigators questioned me for 3 hours in a windowless conference room. They knew everything, the contract timeline, the payment structure, the offshore accounts. What they didn't know was who at Meridian had orchestrated the fraud. We believe Quantum Solutions is a shell company designed to funnel money out of Meridian Tech, Diana Chen explained. She was sharp-eyed and patient, letting silence do the heavy lifting. Someone inside your organization set this up. We need to know who. Marcus Caldwell, I said without hesitation, the COO. He pushed this deal through over my objections, shut down due diligence, and demoted me when I asked questions. Diana exchanged glances with her partner. Can you prove Marcus knew Quantum was fraudulent? That was the problem. I had circumstantial evidence, his aggressive timeline, his resistance to oversight, his punishment of anyone who questioned the deal, but proof? That was harder. What about the payments? I asked. $4 million has already been transferred. Can't you trace where that money went? Offshore accounts in the Cayman Islands, then dispersed through multiple shell companies. We're working on it, but these things take time. Diana leaned forward. Mr. Rivera, we need someone inside Meridian who can help us, someone with access to internal communications, someone Marcus trusts, or at least doesn't suspect. He already suspects me, hence the demotion and isolation. Not you, Diana said. Someone else, someone young, maybe. Someone who asked questions about quantum and got shut down. Angela. They wanted me to recruit Angela. She's 26 years old, I said flatly. She has her whole career ahead of her. If Marcus finds out, if we don't stop this, there won't be a Meridian Tech for anyone to have a career at. Diana interrupted. Marcus is already planning the second payment, $4 million, scheduled for next week. Once that money transfers, it's gone, and Marcus will probably set up the next fraud. I thought about Angela's face when she'd shown me her findings, the mixture of confusion and moral certainty. I thought about what I would tell my daughter if she were in Angela's position. Do the right thing even when it's dangerous. Speak truth to power even when it costs you. But it was easier to believe those principles when it wasn't your own child in the crosshairs. I'll talk to her, I said finally. But if anything happens to her, if Marcus retaliates, we'll protect her, Diana promised. Once she's documented as a cooperating witness, any retaliation becomes obstruction of justice. That night, I met Angela at a coffee shop 15 miles from the office. She arrived nervous, clutching her bag like a shield. "What's going on, Mr. Rivera? Your text sounded urgent." I explained everything. The SEC investigation, Marcus's fraud, the $12 million being stolen in plain sight. I watched her face cycle through shock, anger, and fear. "You want me to spy on Marcus?" she said when I finished. "I want you to document the truth. The SEC needs proof that Marcus knew quantum was fake when he authorized the payments. Internal emails, meeting notes, anything that shows intent." Angela was quiet for a long time, stirring her untouched coffee. "My father always told me that character is what you do when no one's watching. But this, everyone's watching. Marcus, HR, security. If I get caught..." "You'll have federal protection. The SEC will shield you." "Will they shield my reputation? My career?" She looked up, and I saw tears threatening. "I'm not like you, Mr. Rivera. I don't have 26 years of credibility to fall back on. I'm just starting out. One black mark, and I'm done." She was right, and I hated that I was asking this of her. But I was also asking it because she was brave enough to handle it. "If you say no, I'll understand," I told her. "This isn't your fight." "Isn't it?" Angela said quietly. "I work here too. I care about this company. And if Marcus gets away with this, what does that say about whether integrity matters?" She took a deep breath. "I'll do it. But Mr. Rivera, when this is over, someone needs to tell the truth about what it costs to do the right thing. Not the Hollywood version, the real version, where good people get hurt." Over the next 3 days, Angela became a ghost in the system. She documented everything. Marcus's emails to Quantum Solutions, his communications with offshore account managers, his instructions to accounting to expedite the second payment. She found meeting notes where Marcus explicitly discussed the minimal risk of detection and the plausible deniability of the corporate structure. She was building an airtight case, and Marcus had no idea. But Wednesday afternoon, everything went sideways. I was at my desk when Angela burst into my office, her face pale. "He knows! Marcus knows someone's investigating him." "How?" "I don't know, but he just sent a company-wide email about corporate espionage and unauthorized access to confidential files. He's ordering IT to audit all employee communications." She's shaking. "Mr. Rivera, if they audit my computer, they'll see everything. Every file I copied, every email I sent to the SEC." I called Diana Chen immediately. "We need to move now. Marcus is spooked. He's locking down the company." "We're not ready," Diana said. "We need the second payment authorization. Once Marcus signs off on that transfer, knowing it's fraudulent, we have him. He's not going to sign anything if he thinks he's being investigated. Then convince him he's safe. Buy us 48 hours. 48 hours. In that time, Marcus could destroy evidence, transfer money, or disappear entirely. But it was also enough time for the SEC to get warrants and freeze accounts. I looked at Angela, still standing in my doorway, waiting for guidance. 26 years old and risking everything because I'd asked her to. "We're going to finish this," I told her. "But first, we need to make Marcus believe he's won." Making Marcus believe he'd won required me to do something I'd avoided for 26 years: publicly surrender. Thursday morning, I requested a meeting with him, deliberately choosing his office so he'd have home field advantage. "Thomas," Marcus said, not bothering to stand when I entered, "to what do I owe this visit? Coming to clean out your desk?" "I'm coming to apologize," I said, the words tasting like ash. "I was wrong about quantum solutions. I let my old-school thinking cloud my judgment. You were right. The company needs to move forward, not stay stuck in the past." Marcus leaned back in his leather chair, studying me with suspicious amusement. "That's quite the turnaround. What changed your mind?"
Reality. I'm 53 years old with a mortgage and a daughter in graduate school. I can't afford to lose this job because I'm too stubborn to adapt. I made myself meet his eyes. "I want to keep working here, Marcus. I'll support the quantum transition. I'll do whatever you need." The truth was in there somewhere. I did need my job. I did have financial obligations. But the surrender was theater, designed to feed Marcus's ego and make him careless. "Well," Marcus said slowly, "I appreciate the maturity, Thomas. Most people your age can't admit when they're wrong." He pulled up something on his computer. "As it happens, I could use your help. The second payment to Quantum is processing tomorrow. I need someone with your vendor management experience to handle the logistics paperwork. Nothing complicated, just signing off on the transfer documentation." My blood ran cold. He wanted my signature on the fraud. If the payments went through successfully, I'd be implicated. If they were stopped, I'd be the fall guy. It was elegant in its cruelty. "Of course," I said. "Whatever you need." Marcus smiled. "Excellent. I'll have the document sent to you this afternoon. And, Thomas, I'm glad you're finally seeing sense. Who knows, there might still be a future for you here after all." I left his office and immediately texted Diana Chen. "He's trying to implicate me. Wants my signature on tomorrow's payment." Her response came seconds later. "Don't sign anything. We're executing warrants tomorrow morning." That afternoon, the transfer documents arrived. 47 pages of legal language authorizing $4 million to Quantum Solutions. Buried in the fine print was language acknowledging full due diligence and verified vendor credentials. My signature would make me complicit in the fraud. I printed everything and sent copies to Diana. Then I did something risky. I left them unsigned on my desk, visible to anyone who entered my office. Angela stopped by at 6 p.m. after most people had left. "Mr. Rivera, Marcus's assistant just sent me a calendar invite for tomorrow at 8 a.m. Team meeting to celebrate successful partnership expansion. That's when the payment goes through." "That's also when the SEC will be here," I said. Diana promised they'd execute warrants first thing in the morning. "What if they're late? What if something goes wrong?" "Then we'll have documented everything we could," I told her. Sometimes that's all you can do. Tell the truth and hope it matters. That night, I barely slept. I kept imagining scenarios where Marcus escaped, where the fraud succeeded, where Angela and I were left holding the bag. But I also kept coming back to a simpler truth. We'd done the right thing. The outcome was beyond our control, but the choice had been ours. Friday morning arrived with crystalline clarity, one of those autumn days where everything feels sharp and defined. I arrived at Meridian Tech at 7:30, half expecting to find federal agents already there. Instead, the building was quiet, normal, unsuspecting. At 7:50, Marcus sent a company-wide email.
Exciting announcement at 8 a.m. in the main conference room. All senior staff required to attend. He was going to make a show of it, announce the successful payment, celebrate his victory, publicly humiliate anyone who doubted him. I was supposed to be there, standing beside him, my signature on documents authorizing fraud. I stayed in my office. At 8:03, the federal agents arrived. I watched from my window as black SUVs pulled up to the entrance. Diana Chen emerged, flanked by FBI agents and SEC investigators. They moved through the lobby with precision, warrants in hand. My phone exploded with messages. "What's happening? FBI is here.